happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
All right, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream and a vision for America that one day we would be a colorblind society. But 59 years later, the political left and the progressive media have hijacked the holiday commemorating Dr. King's message to promote a political agenda. Take a listen to this.
I still feel like suddenly black people still are where we were under the Emancipation Proclamation.
When you think about all black people risked in November of 2020 to go out to the polls in the middle of a pandemic and whatever else we were suffering through.
Joining us now with reaction is Distinguished Senior Fellow for Constitutional Studies at the Texas Public Policy Foundation, Dr. Carol Swain. Dr. Swain, good to see you again. Thanks for being on.
Well, thank you. And I have to tell you that when I hear comments like that, it angers me. And I don't get angry easily, but it's such blatant, ignorant lies. And I just can't believe that I'm listening to these people who have been privileged, who have been beneficiaries of the civil rights movement and Dr. King's dream, lie to young people and remove their hope.
You know what? I'm glad you said it that way, because I think if I didn't know better and I heard those comments that we played, I'd say, wow, you haven't progressed in 59 years. It's still tough to vote. We haven't had any change. And I'm thinking to myself, there are people like yourself. There are people that have done a lot of work in my state of Virginia who have helped people progress, who have closed that gap. And it's an insult to them, to the work that they've done. It's an insult to people like Winsome Sears that presided over the Senate for the first time ever today, to say that we haven't had progress. They are making us more divided, and it's insulting to the many people who have done the work.
Sean, I'm from Virginia too, and I was born in 1954. That was the year of the Brown versus Board of Education decision integrating schools. It took Virginia until the late 1960s to integrate. Democrats led the massive resistance. It was the first Republican governor who set an example by taking his small children and integrating Richmond Public Schools with his children. And the schools were predominantly black at the time. And I get so angry because I see the Democrats, they have not changed one bit when it comes to their messaging, and they use black people. And what's sad about today is that we have ignorant black people like Whoopi, the vice president, and others who are repeating lies, total lies to people. And they're being trotted out, they're being used, much like plantation owners used slaves during the era of slavery. The Democratic Party doing the same thing today.
Wow. You know, Dr. Swain, they're trying to use today to push this narrative that there is voter suppression. That's why we need to reform all our voting laws. And they say a lot of this suppression is happening in black communities. But according to a Brennan Center for Justice, voter turnout in 2020 was the highest for black Americans since 2012. So this is despite the pandemic. What provisions are they saying make it more difficult for black people to vote more than anyone else?
Well, in some areas, blacks vote at a higher rate than white people. And what they want to do is cheat. You look at the mail-in ballots, and I am a native Virginian. I have relatives that some are interested in voting, some are not. But I was told that there were ballot harvesters that knocked on doors in the projects, stood there and demanded that people fill out the ballots, which they took. And in some cases, the ballots were almost pre-filled out by people that were standing there. That is voter intimidation. If 3 people show up at your door and they're demanding that you fill out a ballot. And so the Democrats use blacks, and what it's really about, it's not about black people having the right to vote. What it's really about is that they want to vote illegal aliens, people that are undocumented. It's not about legal voters being able to vote. And so they're using black people to advance an agenda that has nothing to do with black people or Hispanic people who are legal in this country. And it makes me angry. I don't like to get angry, but I'm angry at this moment. And I don't want to be angry on Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday.
So here's this. In the last 30 seconds, I'm reminded that it was a Republican President, Reagan, that made today a federal holiday. It was a Republican Senate that made today a federal holiday. It is today that Winsome Sears is presiding over a Virginia Senate. How do we do a better job of talking about the role that Republicans and conservatives have?
I think every American should read the letter from a Birmingham jail, and they should read Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. Don't listen to it, read it. And I think that if we were to assign that to school children across America, we could begin to turn this thing around, because what is happening today is that the civil rights movement has been hijacked by people that care nothing about civil rights. They benefit themselves.
Good. Okay. It's a great way to end it. Dr. Swain, thank you very much.
Thank you.